Welcome to Anything New. My name is Pete, and as always, I'm here with Matt
What's up?
and Opie.
Hey guys.
Anything New is a podcast where we talk about anything new we've been using, perusing, or consuming. We got a special guest with us on the panel today. This is Dan. This is our friend.
What's up, Dan?
Hello. Hi, everybody.
He's walking
Dan
here.
is Dan is an expert on a lot of topics, but he's here today for something specific, and that is Final Fantasy XVI announcement that came out, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. I think we should first kind of kick it off with NFL Week 2. Opie, what do you think?
Well, guys, don't adjust your television sets. My shirt is red, and so is my face. So all you all out there, got a little sun this weekend.
While he was
We
watching
were-
football, I guess. I don't.
Well,
Did
I was
you watch it
I was
outside?
actually watching. Well, I was watching the football, but it was the Human Rocket League, as you guys like to
Ah.
call it. Watching the boys kick the soccer ball around. But yeah, so I got a little sun, and I'm a ginger. So there's a sunburn easy, and I have no soul. So let's go ahead. And we'll go for that. Well, Pete, week 2 in the NFL. It's not over yet. Currently, right now, as we're recording this, Patriots are playing the Seahawks, and I've got, speaking fantasy wise, I'm losing to your boy Peyton by about 4 points right now.
Oh,
I need
geez.
that. Yeah, I need the Patriots defense to show up, but the week started off kind of rough. Being a Bengals fan, what the heck? How do we lose to Cleveland?
The Ohio Bowl.
Oh my
We-
god!
How did you
We get
lose
a
to
lot of
Cleveland?
crap.
It was the toilet bowl.
We get a lot of crap from our friends for liking the Bengals, but we can't all just hop on a good team like the Saints or the Redskins.
What? I don't.
I'm just kidding.
a Washington football team fan.
Oh, my bad. I just said I'm sorry. We're going to have to bleep that out. I didn't mean to make that comment about that,
It's okay,
that
it's
team.
okay.
That was very insensitive of me. Oh, nice.
Nice, good job, Obi.
But yeah, so Dan's favorite team is the team from Washington, the Washington football team.
And we lost
Matt,
today.
Haskins looks good though.
He does.
You know,
They
don't-
played
don't
really
you
well. Their main players are doing well. Gibson ran really well, and they're doing really good.
But they won last week, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah,
Against
so-
Philly. So I was
Yeah.
proud of them.
So I mean, it's not. It's a better start than Washington's had in a while.
Matt's team, the New Orleans Saints, plays tomorrow
Tomorrow night,
night
yeah.
versus the Las Vegas Raiders
In
in the
Vegas,
Death Star.
right?
They've nicknamed their new stadium the Death Star.
Have they really? I hadn't heard that.
It looks like, yeah. Have you seen it?
No.
What it looks like. Oh, it's like
I'll
this.
look it up now,
Just
though.
it looks like the Death Star, but not quite. But it's not a sphere, but it's a big black object. So it kind of
Oh, kind of.
The Rams' new
okay.
stadium, you can see through it. It's got a roof
Yeah.
on it,
Dude,
but apparently you can get a sunburn.
What
through
about the
roof,
Rams'
so-
new stadium first
And the
year that it's
Chargers.
in existence and nobody gets to see it because
Yeah.
they're not allowing fans in?
Yeah,
Right.
Oh
the
man.
Chargers are sharing it with them as well.
Oh my goodness, that's pretty.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. There were a lot of close
So-
games though today.
Dude, the Chiefs and the with
Oh
the
my
Chargers,
goodness.
God, that game was bonkers. The Cowboys and the
What?
Falcons game was bonkers.
I
Yep.
called that right off the start. J-Dub's like, look at the Cowboys falling apart. I was like, no, Atlanta plays one half. The second half, they never play.
You're right.
They
You're
do.
right, because Peyton
You are
has Dak Prescott as his quarterback, and then he had McCaffrey as his running back, and literally the first half they had 4 points. I mean, Prescott was in negative points
Yeah.
at the beginning of the game, and I was like, I've got this one wrapped up.
Didn't
and
he-
turned around and scored 29 points?
Yeah, he didn't have 450 yards, three touchdowns, or
it
three
was
rushing touchdowns. I
ridiculous.
don't remember.
It was ridiculous.
It was a lot of stuff, is what it was. And then, of course,
It was.
now I do want to point out we mentioned the Chiefs and the Chargers a second ago. I've got to put Opie on blast here that at the very beginning of last season, or maybe it was the tail end of the season before that, Opie, in all his infinite NFL wisdom, made the bold claim that
Listen,
they're going to figure out how to shut down Mahomes, or referring to all the other teams in the NFL. They're going to figure out how to shut down Mahomes. He's not going to be good next year.
I'm a college football fan, so I'm not going to take responsibility for my comments about the NFL. Which, spoiler alert, if you are a college football fan, college football season officially starts next weekend when the SEC starts playing. So we may just have an anything new college football edition for all you listening out there.
We've been kicking that around to do just a little midweek special just on some football.
Maybe.
Cricket.
Yeah, possibly. We can barely all get on for this on Sunday nights. I don't see how we're going to do a second one in the middle of the week.
That's true. But,
Well,
yeah, there were a lot of
James
close games.
James and Opie, you guys are huge football fans, so I could see you guys doing like a Wednesday night football thing.
That would be fun, and
We'll
kind of cover the fantasy news and stuff
We-
like that. And
I was telling James that it would be cool because college has already started, and his Bearcats beat the crap out of Austin P guys in Tennessee. You remember Austin P, and
Yeah.
so they're a big
oh my
powerhouse.
gosh, did you hear? So listen to this about Austin P. So they played 3 games right already. So they got the doors blowed off of them on all 3 games, and now they're done. Like they're
they
not
quit?
playing anymore
They're
yet.
not
Yeah,
playing more?
they're done. So they played these 3 games. It was like us, the Bearcats, and they played Pittsburgh, and then they played can't remember who the other game was, but they got destroyed in that game too. But they basically did it because all those universities paid them like a bunch of money.
Sure.
Just because just to fill in games. Because your regular conference schedule is kind of light this year. So to add an extra game, Austin P decided to play, and so they made I think they said it was like 500,000 or 750,000 for playing those 3 games, and that'll go towards like their entire athletic department. And then they'll come back in the spring when their conference kicks off because they're the only team in their conference, I guess, that was playing. But
Yeah, good on them.
Anywho.
The players get to play and
Yeah,
they
and
make
then-
money for the school.
Now they're going to take their ball and go home.
There you go.
yeah,
But yeah, the NFL. I mean, I thought some of the game. I didn't watch all of the games today, but I did. I like the excitement that you see in games like the Chiefs and the Chargers or the Falcons and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Deshaun Watson didn't do a lot for me in fantasy. They got defeated pretty handily by the Ravens. The Texans aren't doing so great to start out. Of course, they went against probably the 2 best offenses in the league back to back in weeks 1 and 2. So I don't know if that's
tons of injuries today. Holy cow! Did you see?
Yeah, I saw that.
the entire
Saquon
NFL
Barkley.
tore their ACL.
Wow.
Dude. So in my big pay league that I'm in, that I've been in for a long time, Barkley is my keeper. I drafted him the first year he came out, and he's been my keeper. And he's kind of underperformed the last couple of years because of injuries. So I turn it on red zone. Barkley gets like a pass, like 10, 12-yard pass, gets pulled down. His arm looks like it pulls out of socket.
Oh,
He's laying on the ground, and then I'm like, all right, he's done for the year. Well, then I kind of go get a drink, come back, and they're like, Barkley checks back in the game. I'm like, all right, a warrior, let's go. Next play, gets pulled down again, and this time his leg snaps out. I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude. So now I think he's got like an ACL tear or something. Who knows? But it was like back-to-back plays. He was just getting manhandled out there.
I can't remember a season or a weekend. I can't remember a weekend over the course of the last, I don't know how many seasons, where there were this many injuries. And they all most of them seem to happen in the first set of games as well.
a lot of people were anticipating that just because of the COVID and the non-contact and the non-practicing, and I don't know how much the NFL have done it, but they can't have a lot of contact or didn't want to have a lot of contact in case of just I think coaches and players are more scared of being in contact with the virus and getting in quarantine and having to sit out rather than they were like actually getting injured, and that leads to lighter practices, and people don't get to hit, you don't get to tackle, you don't get to block, and then when you get in the game, you want to go full speed, and then you knock yourself out. So that's just how it happens, I guess.
I remember those days when I was in the marching band.
Whoa,
Full contact.
marching band mention.
Is that a drinking game or a bingo card?
Wow, that'd be awesome.
What
No, it should
instrument
be.
did you play in the marching band?
The trumpet. I was
There you
first chair, co-captain of the marching band, all that stuff. I'm not trying to brag
You have
though.
a chair in a marching band. Isn't that?
Well,
That's
it's
not.
a band turn. It's like the chairs. Anyway, what are we
Anyway,
doing?
yeah, I don't know.
You guys get on to me for talking about the English Premier League, and we're talking about marching bands. How did that bleed into the podcast?
I don't know.
Anything else you guys want to hit on with the NFL?
I was winning my fantasy game before we started this. I haven't checked it since. It all comes down to the game that's being played right now, so I'll have to check it later.
I got
I blew up
another
last week, and I'm losing terribly this week.
I got another free week of the NFL Red Zone, so I enjoyed that a little bit more today, especially since the Bengals weren't playing. Since they played Thursday night, I kept it on the Red Zone pretty much all day and kind of moved around. But I did watch the Premier League too, and it kind of bled over into that. But the good thing about being a soccer fan and a football fan is that usually, because the soccer's played in England, it's usually done by about 12:30. So that's late
Then you
over
can do
there.
stuff.
So then you can go you can go watch the real stuff, I guess. But anyway, it was fun. It was fun. Good week.
Yeah.
How did Tom Brady do today? By the way, not
Awful.
very well.
And he's throwing some picks again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he threw one pick. I've got him as my starting QB, but I need to put Josh Allen in for Buffalo. He has had 2 amazing weeks.
He's doing all right, yeah.
He's got almost 35 points this week. He had 20-something points last week.
Oh, speaking
Yeah.
of fantasies, so my 2 quarterbacks are Matt Ryan and Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so I'm Gavin, my son, was giving me a hard time that I was starting Matt Ryan over Aaron Rodgers, and I'm like, well, that's kind of a toss up, kind of depending on your playing. So in my infinite knowledge, again, my NFL infinite knowledge, I saw that Rodgers was playing Detroit, and Matt Ryan was playing Dallas, and I thought, okay, pick a defense. Who would you think would put up the most points? So I went with Rodgers this week, and he got me like 18 points, and Matt Ryan was like 29 points sitting on the bench. So yeah.
Well,
so
I mean, Green Bay still scored like 42 points. They were huge over Detroit. But
I think they ran the ball. Yeah, they ran the ball.
Well, Devontae Adams ended up getting hurt, and he's my best receiver, and he dropped out of the game. So it was just like, well, that's great. So,
Brady was 23 for 35 for 217 yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
I'll tell you what.
But they won.
He didn't have a bad,
They won big.
I'll tell you what. 0 of those 217 passing yards from Brady were 0 of those yards were to Gronk. He didn't do anything, leaving me with a big fat goose egg in my fantasy team.
That's so crazy.
He's getting benched next week. I don't care.
What does he do?
He's just a body out there, I guess.
That's crazy.
I think that it was kind of like a package deal. They were like, Tom, we want you to come play with us down here. He's like, get my boy Gronk and I'll come.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh. So then they had to buy a bunch of White Claws and have them down there on the field. And
I think Gronk is probably like a Randy Moss. He's like, why do I need to play? I'm getting paid either way. Yeah. So he's getting benched. Sorry, Gronk.
All right, let's move along.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a show that I watched as a movie on Netflix. Matt, I know you watched it too.
I did.
And it was called. When you tell somebody about this movie, would you say #alive? Is that how you would?
It's funny. Opie wanted to watch a trailer before we started this, and he said, "Is the hashtag part of it?" I said, "Yeah," and it makes sense in the context of the story. It makes sense why there's a hashtag there. So I guess #alive. Although if you just search alive, I'm sure it comes up too.
Yeah. So it's a South Korean zombie movie.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the premise, and it's good. Like I really enjoyed it. Did you watch the dubbed version? Is that the only one? So you watched a subtitled one?
Yeah, I watched it in Korean with English subtitles. Yeah.
I watched it dubbed English, and I thought it was good.
Yeah, it's just so it's it's a zombie movie. So if you want to watch a good zombie movie, this is one, and it's just straight up zombies. And it's another one where 10 minutes into the movie, an outbreak happens. We don't know why. It's not about what causes it, and it's not about the resolution. It's about a dude trying to survive in his apartment. That's not a spoiler. That's just what the story is. He's in his apartment and he's trying to survive, and there's another person in their apartment and they're trying to survive too. So the two of them finally come together. They try to survive, and it's just all about them trying to survive in a zombie apocalypse. And there's not a lot of parts. There's not a lot of speaking parts. It's mostly just these two people with a couple others sprinkled in here and there. But it's just a really solid zombie movie, that takes place in a small apartment complex, and it's just about them trying to get by. If I don't know how, I know a lot of people are sort of adverse to foreign films, but if you want to just see some good movies, there are so many good Korean movies. Dan and I watched one a long time ago called I Saw the Devil, which is fantastic.
Excellent.
Train to
What's that one about?
I don't even remember. We watched it a long time ago.
A serial killer is on the loose and ends up. Well, it becomes a vendetta story,
right?
And it has the gentleman who played Storm Shadow in the G.I. Joe movies as the person on the vendetta, and the guy who is the bad guy, I think, is the same gentleman that was in. Is it Redemption? The one about the SWAT team that goes into the tower?
The Raid.
The Raid. Thank you. And I think he was the bad guy in that as well. I don't know if it's the same guy, but it's.
Yeah, I'm not sure because that wasn't a Korean movie.
No, but it's really well done and very violent and very just scary and creepy and just well done all the way through.
Yeah,
so Train to Busan is another good.
That's another good one.
Oh,
and of course, and
if you liked Alive, watch Train to Busan.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
That's even better. Yeah, that's a good point.
Is
That's
that
even better than this.
Coming out?
Yeah, there's a sequel coming out. I think it is on Netflix. I think that's where I watched it.
I don't know if we watched it there or if we watched it on Amazon.
There's Old Boy. They made an American version of that, which actually wasn't too bad either. And the American version actually went for it. I thought they would sugarcoat Old Boy. They didn't, which was fantastic. But the Korean version of Old Boy is even better. And of course, Parasite.
Oh, definitely.
Can't forget that
Parasite.
one.
Oh, Parasite was
Parasite.
Good. It was good.
Yeah, so there are. I mean, I'm a big fan of Korean movies. They just, I don't know what it is about them, but there's just a lot of good ones. So
they've been bringing the bangers.
Yeah,
I just think it's just it's like any country that finally starts developing within some kind of medium, and they're finally getting to a point where they can show their artistic view within something they want to do, and it's actually a mature story with a well-written and smart story all the way through, and they're just doing a good job like that. Everybody thought like America had like the lock on that, but no, there's a lot of great movies that come out from overseas.
Yeah, it's just like good
We've seen
stories.
A lot of Swedish film. There's great Swedish films that we saw with The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Let Me In, I think is another one.
Yes.
They do some really good ones over there. There's some really good Russian films that I've seen that are just funny and goofy. Just the other side of the world does a lot of great movies. I guess just the American audience never sees them.
right.
And don't forget about Bollywood and their action adventure movies.
It's true.
Well, there's some
top-notch
pretty good ones.
CG.
They like to have fun. That's what I can say about that. But I mean, you could even say Slumdog Millionaire is kind of a Bollywood movie as well. It's shot by an American director, but still, taking place in that area, and that's a great movie as well. So.
I never saw that one.
It's
Slumdog Millionaire.
It's great.
Yeah.
Oh, you need to see that, man.
It's a guy who goes on the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, getting to the $1 million question, and then telling his life of him growing up as I forget what they call him, but it's just slumdog, growing up as a slumdog, a very poor child.
It's a good movie.
It's great.
Yeah,
Slumdog Millionaire
it's
really good.
So for the final question, his answer is his life story. At the very end, is it the scene from Billy Madison where it says, "No, at no point during that answer did you"?
No, it's really weird because the questions he's asked are pretty intense questions, but he's a slumdog, so he has no proper schooling, but the questions he's asked throughout it are things that happened to him throughout his life, and it goes back to show that. And then the final question happened. Well, I don't want to tell you what the ending is.
Yeah. Spoilers, bro.
Yeah. But
so hashtag Alive, really good, solid zombie movie on Netflix if you're into that kind of stuff. I'm glad you mentioned Train to Busan though, because that's even better. But this one was good too. The little sort of, it's like comparing red apples to green apples. They're both apples, but they're a little different.
I'm glad you said it because I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah,
so
it's real good. It's real good.
Okay.
Well, let's stay on Netflix. And did you guys see that Devil All the Time
Yeah, The Devil All the
dropped
Time.
on Netflix
It was
with
last
Tom
Wednesday or
Holland,
Friday. I don't remember which day it was.
Jake
Watch the trailer.
Gyllenhaal. The trailer looks intense. I haven't seen the movie
Mm-hmm.
yet.
Well, no, Jake Gyllenhaal's not in it. He
He's
produced. He
produced
produced it. Yeah,
right? Yeah, he produced
Right.
it.
Tom Holland.
I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like a great cast. Robert Pattinson. I saw
Robert
him in the trailer.
Pattinson.
I don't know what his role is in the movie, but it looks
He's playing.
good.
I think he's playing a pastor.
He plays a southern pastor.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything about any of the characters, but yeah, he plays a pastor. Jason Clarke is in it. Skarsgård, was it Bill Skarsgård who played Pennywise in It?
Yeah.
He's in it. God, I can't even. I'm blanking on all the cast now, but it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It's a very slow burn.
So you watched it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
That's why I put it on here, because it's new. It was new, something new that I did. I watched it on Friday, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really
burn.
Yeah, it's a slow burn, but it's a really good story, and all of the performances are amazing.
I'm in.
Like Robert
Yeah, the trailer
Pattinson,
yeah, trailer. Really
Robert Pattinson, like
Real
you
quick.
wouldn't even think that his voice is different. Everything it's just Sebastian Stan is in it. Yeah, I knew. I was like, there was another
Who's
comic book
that?
guy.
Who's Sebastian Stan?
So you remember he played Winter Soldier in Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Infinity
okay, I
War,
saw
and
him
Game, all
too.
those. Yeah.
So I heard the accents in it. Is it based in the South?
Yes.
Where at? Does it tell where at?
Yeah, but I don't remember.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I do remember. It takes place in a stretch, basically between, well, not quite the South. It takes place in a stretch between like Southern Ohio and West Virginia,
Okay.
and it takes place in a
It's like in
stretch
the
between
40s,
two different
right?
towns.
It's like it's 40s or 50s.
But it ranges between like the late 40s and like mid 60s.
Right.
And would you say it's more like a psychological thriller or straight up horror? Like
No, it's
kinda like
it's not horror. And it's not
drama?
even a thriller. It's just drama.
Just drama.
Yeah, it's just a drama, but everybody should win some kind of award that was in it. The performances are so good, and it's sort of Crash-esque in that you do have different stories that kind of intersect, but not as many stories that all intersect like Crash does. But there's a pair that you follow throughout the movie, and then they're on their own story, and then there's another story going on with some other characters, and those two intersect at some point, and it's kind of like that. But yeah, Tom Holland's amazing, Robert Pattinson's amazing, Sebastian Stan's amazing, Jason Clarke, Bill Skarsgård, all of them, everybody that's in it is just fantastic. I can't recommend it highly enough. But keep in mind what you're getting into, though. It's a slow burn. It's not action packed or anything like that.
A good character piece is always fun.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah, fantastic performances,
I
though.
really like the Robert Pattinson in it because he's in Tenet that's out right now. He's also, of course, on New Batman, and all these characters he's playing, he's doing a really good job.
Yeah, it was great. It was
The Boys.
It did feel long though.
The Boys episode 5 dropped this week too, so now we're getting a new one each week.
Right.
And are you caught up? Have you guys seen?
I've only seen
episode 5?
I've only seen the 4.
Yeah, I'm
I've
caught
not
up.
seen
I've seen through 4. We have in one of our little group chats. I think we can talk about this. We had Dan and I kind of like the story of season 1 a little bit better. We thought it might have rolled through a little bit better. And Matt made a good point. Dan and I thought this season is a little slow, and Matt said that it might be because they are releasing them, kind of one by one now after the first week when they released the first 3 episodes, right?
Yeah.
The first 3 came out. The first... And that's a good question, and I hadn't really thought about it that way, but maybe you're right. Maybe it is. Maybe the story feels slower because I have to wait, each week. And on season 1, I kind of probably watched 5 episodes the first night.
Yeah. Well, I think about
Oh, go ahead, Matt.
I was gonna say it makes me think about like The Mandalorian. I didn't watch The Mandalorian season 1 until way after it came out, and if I had to, I enjoyed it very, very much. But if I had to have watched that thing one episode a week as it originally came out, I would have probably thought, yeah, this isn't super great. It's really kind of slow, and I don't really see what the hubbub's about.
Yeah.
But I was able to watch the whole thing over the course of like 2 or 3 days, and I thought it was really good. So the release schedule can make a difference on your opinion of a show like that.
I mean, I see your point. I don't fully agree with it totally. I watched The Mandalorian on a binge as well, and this will be a hot take with you guys. I am not the biggest fan of The Mandalorian. I didn't like The Mandalorian until I got to the final episode.
Kick.
Some of the until the final episode, and it started pulling some of the old story elements. I didn't like the one-offs every episode. I didn't really care for that. I thought it was kind of a low-budget Star Wars to me. That was me. And I'm hoping the second season's a lot better. But it's not that the show is slow for The Boys season 2. It's that I think it's a lot. It's not a story I like. Huey can't make a decision. Annie can't make a decision. Butcher is just over the top, just being an a-hole all the time, and you're ruining that character. I didn't even care for episode 4 due to the fact that the whole concept was about relationships and some other things there, and it just got really weird in that one. And I'm just like,
It did get weird.
I really liked season 1 and the way it flowed and the way the characters were coming. And I wish, like, it's kind of like watching what was it, the Ozarks with Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
And you just want Jason Bateman to finally sack up and do something, but he just always plays this like I'm beaten down guy. No, I can fix this. And you're just like, come on, man. Decision one way or another. Don't just sit on the fence. And that's how Huey feels to me in this one. And then Butcher's just too over the top mean to everybody this time. And I think they're hurting the characters more in this season.
He just wants his wife back.
Yeah, but now, well, I'm not going to say anything to that, but it's like, I don't know. I don't like how the story's developing. And whether this was all binged at once or whether it's watched individually, I can't speak to that because I can't binge this one. But watching it individually, I can tell you that I'm not enjoying it as much as I like season 1 just because of the content of the episodes, not because it's a slow-paced roll all the way through. So that's my thing.
Yeah, I do tend to dislike stories, whether it's comic books, movies, TV shows, whatever, where you have a group of people who are supposed to be working together, but all they do is argue and fight all the time. For my comic book Twitter account, I was reading some old Avengers books, and there were several issues in a row where all the Avengers, all they did was fight amongst each other, and I hated those. So I don't like when teams of people are supposed to be friends and they don't get along. I don't like that.
Yeah. I still love The Boys. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I still think it's a great show. I think it's one of the best. I'm not a big superhero guy, but I love watching The Boys. So don't get me wrong. It's still great. But I just, like I said, I like the first one more. So that just as up to this point. And Matt may be right. Maybe if I would have binged it, I could have been.
I don't see how you guys are separating 2 different seasons as 2 different stories. It seems like it's turning into one big story to me. And the first season is part 1 of the story, and season 2 is the second part of the story.
It is. It's a continuation of a story that's building per episode. It's not like little one-offs or anything through there, but I think they told the story better at this point at the first arc as opposed to the second arc. You know what I mean? And that's why I don't know, just the stuff they're diving into, some of it gets really weird, and I'm just like, I don't need all that. I get it. Homelander's weird.
Well,
I got it. I can't even drink milk the same anymore.
Well, what I think is, I think that's the most interesting part of the whole thing, though, is Homelander and his fetishes or whatever. But more so than that, like, he's just evil, and Anthony Starr is so good at playing him. I love any scene that has him because he's so bad. He's so mean.
Makes you uncomfortable. Episode 3 made me very uncomfortable. But that's what the show's supposed to do. It's supposed to be where you see these people like when who's the new superhero person?
Storm
Shield.
Stormfront.
Yeah.
Storm Shield.
When she does the stuff in that episode towards the end there, it was just you felt uncomfortable. Her going through the building and everything like that. That just
that was rough.
And that's great. You want a show that can elicit an emotional response, and that does it. But I just, I said, I still feel like characters need to develop in some way, and I think they're developing them in a weird way. I don't know.
I
In
wish.
a way I don't really.
I just wish you
Well,
guys had seen
well.
episode 5 before we had this conversation.
Yeah, I know. Who's not
Gotcha.
seen episode 5?
Dan and Pete.
Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, not
Yeah.
yet.
Oh,
I
yeah.
haven't seen
So
it.
you get more Homelander.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah, you get
Oh,
more. Yeah,
well,
you get
that's
more.
good.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And that's okay. That's right.
And
Seriously,
more
him drinking
Elizabeth
milk now is
Shue.
the weirdest
Oh no, I
thing.
guess Doppelganger. I guess so. Elizabeth Shue won't be around anymore.
Well,
That's kind of a bummer.
Wait, yeah.
Because Doppelganger?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Maybe in flashbacks or something.
Yeah.
She should be on every episode. Just saying. Matt, you've been watching Justified.
Yeah.
You've been watching Cobra Kai season 2.
Yeah.
You've been watching Lucifer season 5.
Yeah, let's go on a little lightning round.
Lightning round.
Yeah,
with Matt.
because I just wanted to touch on each one of these shows, this podcast, about anything new that we've done over the last week, and all these things are new to me. So real quick, I finally finished the entire series of Justified. That's been my treadmill show for the last probably 3 months or so. And it's a really, really good show. It doesn't quite...
It's about me.
Right, I call it the Opey docu-series because it takes place in Kentucky, and there's so many things that happen that I like to put Opey into the situation. But I really enjoyed it, but it just didn't quite blow my skirt up the way it did for a lot of people. But I did like the way that it ended. I liked where it left all the characters. So 6 seasons, 13 episodes a season. If you're looking for something good to watch, I recommend it. Cobra Kai season 2, I finished that. The last episode was equal parts kind of really cool, but also pretty silly. But when we first heard about Cobra Kai and the season 1 first started, you're kind of thinking, this is going to be kind of silly because it's supposed to be a sequel to the Karate Kid, and Daniel and Johnny are older, and now they've got new kids, and that sounds kind of silly. Season 2 ended kind of in a dark place for what this show was supposed to be, and I don't know if they've already filmed season 3, but it is coming next year. So I recommend that too. Like I said last week, it's a pretty good show. I feel like they put the characters in a reasonable place, or where they would be if this were real. I feel like where Daniel winds up and Johnny winds up, and it gets a little over the top with some of the stuff, but I recommend it. Each episode's like 22 minutes, 10 episodes a season. You can knock it out real fast. So I like it, and the end of the season was interesting. And then so my new treadmill show, now that I'm done with Justified, is Lucifer season 5. I watched the first 4 seasons. That was my treadmill show before Justified. And I like it. The only bad thing about Lucifer, and I thought they would give this up after season 1, but every episode for every season is about, so Lucifer is the devil, right? But the whole crux of the story is he's helping the LAPD solve crimes because he's trying to right.
That's what the devil does.
Well, because he's
Good cop, bad cop. Who's bad cop? Oh, we know who bad cop is. It's Liz.
well, I mean, so the point of it is that he got bored of ruling hell, so he
came out crazy.
he took a vacation to Earth, right? He owns a nightclub and all this stuff, and he's curious about humanity. So this is all in like early season 1, but in order to learn more about humanity, he teams up with a detective, and
You're not watching True Blood on accident.
No, that was a horrible ending. No, but anyway, every single episode of Lucifer is about the case that they have to solve. Lucifer always finds a way to relate the circumstances of that murder that they're investigating with his search for humanity. And I always thought this is a tropey thing that they'll get rid of after the first season. First season, episode 5 is still that way. Every case that he's on, he finds a way to make it about his search for, and it sometimes feels contrived. And also, this is why I hate Netflix trailers, because the trailer for this gave away a huge plot point that if I hadn't seen it, then when the first episode of season 5 ended, I would really be scratching my head saying, "What? How is that? How is that even possible? What is going on?" But because it's Netflix, I knew exactly what the whole plot point was. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but
I know my new YouTube miniseries I'm going to create. It's Lucifer's PSAs for the LAPD.
Well, there's
Yes.
an anime called The Devil has a part-time job. He works a
Oh,
part-time job at a some kind of ramen shop. He's not the
What?
manager. He gets bossed around by a couple young girls who tell him what to do. Yeah.
oh, we ought to bring back up Chad Vader from where he works
Oh.
at the night.
Third shift at the grocery store.
Third shift manager at the grocery store. I'm not gonna watch those.
Good old Chad
Awesome.
Vader.
But yeah, so if you're a fan of Lucifer, season 5 seems like it's going to go on the same trajectory, so I recommend it. And I think it's a good show on its own, even if if you want to start another one, but it's a little bit longer to watch than Cobra Kai or Justified. But yeah, so
Props to our buddy Tim too. He also really liked Cobra Kai. He posted something about that as well in one of the discords too. So he was all about it.
nice. So yeah, so
I've
that's
been binging Dave on FX, and it is so rated R. I can't believe that this show would be on network TV. Like I can't believe it. I don't know if what I'm watching, like, because I downloaded the season, like through iTunes, and I can't believe it. It's over the top.
Well,
And
FX is like that. I mean,
Yeah.
oh
Always
my
Sunny
gosh,
is on
it's
FX.
ridiculous.
dude, when they used to have Nip Tuck on FX, that was pretty intense sometimes.
Yeah, he's a rapper, and so it's kind of like a hip hop lifestyle.
Yeah.
But he's
See, I don't
like
need to
a
watch that.
white,
I just live my
he's a-
life, and
That's right.
yeah.
he's a white Jewish guy, but he's like trying to bust into the rap scene. So
He's the devil.
And he also solves
working with
crimes.
LAPD.
Right.
There's any chance it's Adam Sandler playing the Jewish rapper?
But it's pretty good. I mean, I liked it. It's I'm about halfway through season 1, and I think it's already been picked up for season 2.
Nice. I'll check it out.
Any other shows we want to talk about before we move on?
That's all I've watched. That's enough.
Yeah,
that I've watched a lot.
Anything sports?
Opie and I, there was a big, so Nvidia, who makes a lot of the video cards that we're all using, right? I think we're all Nvidia users for our video cards. Really, there's two big video card manufacturers, AMD and Nvidia. Well, Nvidia is always kind of the big dog. AMD kind of comes out with a little bit more budget-friendly cards for your computer, but Nvidia released, they announced some new video cards. They also announced a application for people who are making stuff like we're making, like right now, like this broadcast. So if you can see, like on the stream, if you're listening through on the podcast, you won't be able to tell, but they released this broadcast app and kind of give you like functions with your cameras. Like, so if you wanted to make a stream for Facebook or YouTube or something, and you wanted to kind of get like the green screen effect, like where it makes you look like you're somewhere else or you got a background behind you. You had to set up like an actual green screen. And you see Opie here, he's toggling his on and off, so he's like in his basement, and then he can like flip the little switch. Now he's at Nvidia
headquarters, right?
That's right.
And now he's magically whisked away
to Delaware.
Delaware. I should have looked that up. I needed Delaware.
But it's something we wanted to talk about because we're using it. One of the caveats to it, though, is that you have to have an RTX video card. So, poor Matt.
Yeah, I've only got a 1660 Super.
So Matt can't play the cool little background.
You know what? I'm just gonna put up my own green screen and then just pretend that, of course, it doesn't fill up the whole thing, but I'm gonna put it up anyway.
And called.
The 90s, everybody had a green screen?
I don't know.
I don't know. I was dialing up in the 90s.
This is what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make the Star Wars prequels just all on a green screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Green screen.
But they also have some like effects for your microphone, noise canceling stuff.
And it seems to work really well too, which is the amazing thing.
So
it is working. Look how good I look.
And it's free
if
you have an RTX video card. So we wanted to talk about it because I know I have some friends that are always asking me like, well, how do you do that? How do you put your video on Facebook or on YouTube or on Discord or on Twitch. So this is something that kind of help you out, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of worth something to talk about. I know Opie got it installed in probably like 2 minutes and had it rocking and rolling.
I
So
know.
If Opie
It's
can get
saying
it
a
to
lot.
work, anybody.
You leave my IT
right.
director alone, right?
Yeah.
and I know
Horrible.
this next topic we're going to talk about iOS 14. It dropped this past week, right?
Yeah.
It just this week? I installed it,
Wow.
and have you guys? I
What?
know Opie, you're more of a
Hang
Samsung
on.
guy, right?
Hang on.
Uh-oh.
So I was the one that put this in the show notes for this week,
All right.
and I've never carried an iPhone. Okay, I barely use an iPad that was given to me, like handed down from one of my kids. But everybody else
Seems
in
backwards.
my house, what?
That seems
No, it's handed
backwards.
down. Like no,
From
I
your
buy
kids,
the
like you should get one and then
kids
hand yours down to
things,
them.
and no, it doesn't work that way here. They get the new stuff, I get the old stuff.
Okay.
So anyway, so this I knew this was, you guys had mentioned the new iOS app or iOS 14 coming out, and I think in passing, but I don't even pay attention to what Apple's doing. I don't do Apple. I just I've always had Samsung, or I don't have I try to use Samsung mainly, but I've always been Android is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
But so my daughter, who everybody, my son, my daughter, my wife all have iPhones, all have had iPads, and so she comes up to me and she says, "Hey, check this out. My phone's like your phone now." And I'm like,
With the
"What do you mean?
Yeah.
What
Like
do you
the
mean?"
widgets?
With the widgets.
So,
Yeah.
well, not even that, because my last two phones have been Galaxies, and they've had the Edge on them. So Samsung has the Edge feature, where you just kind of flick your thumb on the side of the edge and you have all these other options. You can group all your apps up. Well, she showed me that she's got the Edge now, where she grouped all of her
Nice.
apps up together. And then she goes, "Look," and I've got a calendar on mine, and it had the little calendar with the date and the weather on it. And then I'm like, well, those are widgets. So I went looking at this, and I just wanted to get your all's feedback. It's like, what in the world? And they've totally got so many features that they brought over for Android with this update.
Oh, yeah.
And what brought
That's
that on?
that's typically what Apple does is they let Google and Android release all the new features first, and then they just put their own polish on them and release them like 3 years later.
And say
Yeah,
that
we-
there's
Pretty much.
Right.
Widget to
Pretty
the
much.
home screen.
Yep.
And they even call
Yep.
them widgets. You think Apple would call them something like,
Oh, that's
you know,
funny.
what would be a good,
Apple
trendy
slices.
There you go.
Ooh, that
Slices.
sounds
Home
good.
screen. That does.
Dang.
GM.
Get you on at the
GM.
marketing department.
Trademark. Somebody
Yeah.
pat that staff.
Apple slices. If you
Nice.
were working at Apple, like, you could have named it that, and that would have been the greatest thing ever. But
Oh
yeah,
my god.
Get this man a raise.
the app, and they call it the app library. So the new app library automatically organizes all your apps
Yeah.
into one simple, easy navigation view, which is it even slides from the same side. Like
Yeah.
it's so crazy.
I tell you something that I found that's really cool, and this might have been around before iOS 14. I'm not sure, but I just kind of was messing around in the settings, getting my phone set up with some widgets and things. But I have it set up now. Like how, like sometimes when you want to take a screenshot of something, and you're like, oh, which button configuration is that? Do I have to
Yeah.
press to do that? So I have mine set up to where if you double tap the back of the screen, it on any screen, double tap the back of the phone, it'll take a screenshot.
What?
Watch, it's gonna be hard to
You mean
see
just like tap it
because-
like that?
Yeah, watch my screen. Ready? Watch.
This is fantastic audio content, by the way.
I know.
Come on. Okay, ready? Watch.
What?
I use my pointer finger and just double tapped the back
One
of my
the first
case.
finger. Yeah.
Now, see,
I'm just
I mean, I'm glad that you
so-
said that because I actually, so for my comics Twitter, I have to take a lot of screenshots of the comics I'm reading, right? And I'm doing that on a iPad or an iPad Mini that still has the home button on it. And I hated having to press the home button and the power at the same time. So I actually use the accessibility feature that puts a floating semi-transparent button on your screen that you can map it to a whole bunch of different commands. So I actually use that. So there's always a semi-transparent button floating on my screen. I just throw it down in the corner that I can just tap and take screen. It's a lot easier to take screenshots that way. I don't think those models of iPads would do it, but I've got an iPhone 11 and I need to try that. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
So just real quick, if you go to accessibility, like you said,
Yeah.
under your settings, go to accessibility.
This is the tech support portion of the podcast.
And then you go to touch.
Turn it on and off again.
Yeah, touch.
And then you go to touch,
Uh-huh.
right? And then you flip it all the way down the bottom, and then there'll be one called back tap.
Okay, so I haven't updated my phone to 14 yet, so I don't see that.
That sounds so
So
wrong.
then, if you click on back tap, you can. There's like two kind of gestures that you can hotkey on there: a double tap or a triple tap for the back of your.
You can't
phone.
triple tap a double tap.
You never triple
Yeah,
tap.
You can't do that.
You can't triple tap a double tap. No races.
Right.
I can't do any of this on my
Touch blue,
jitterbug
make
phone
it true.
at all.
Touch blue, make it true. No
Jitterbug.
races.
Dan can't even play Pokemon Go.
How do I do it on my
Mine's
flip
got
phone?
light, and it's got really big buttons so I can see what I'm doing. It flips open. It's really nice. Jitterbug phones are great.
He has a Razor, Motorola
He's a
Razor.
razor.
Dude, those things used to be
I'm
awesome.
actually on an
Motorola?
iPhone 6s, so I don't have the back tap. I'm still on a 6s, man. Remember when
Are
I
you
got
really?
this? I told you guys I was like,
I
man,
thought
have you guys
you-
tried that 4G stuff?
I thought you upgraded.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I
Okay,
sit on
boomer.
a phone
Okay.
for like, yeah, I didn't say like seriously. I sit on a phone for like 15 years before I.
But yeah, so I upgraded my iPad mini to iOS 14 because I don't use it as much, so that's always kind of like my experimental device. But I haven't used it that much, and I don't think there's a whole lot of extra stuff for iPads. Like I was interested in the picture-in-picture thing to where you could, if you're playing a YouTube video and you go out of it, the video still plays. I think that's only on iPhone.
Yeah.
That's not. They don't have that working for iPad.
Okay.
You're telling me that Apple has not had that up until this update?
Nope.
Like, wow.
Nope.
And they still don't. Well, it depends on the app. Like the Twitch app on iPad has had that for a long time.
Okay.
You can exit the app and the video still plays on your home screen. YouTube doesn't, and I don't know why YouTube can't do it, but Twitch can.
Wow.
But yeah, so I'm gonna upgrade my phone at some point, and I'm gonna try to double stamp a triple back tap and see if I can take a.
These are like some big features that could swing an Android user to an iPhone user, and I'm gonna say that right now because I mean, if you could have the luxury and quality of the iPhone and just the dependability of it, plus the couple of features that it was missing from what I enjoyed, I really like. Ever since the Edge came out, I use the Edge. I never go to my apps. I always use the Edge. So we'll see. Stay tuned.
All right. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So let's bring up the topic for the whole reason why we brought our expert Dan in to begin with. He's been kind enough to hang out with us through the whole show. But the PS5, the PlayStation 5 event happened, and I mean it was awesome. They released so much information. Pre-orders pretty much came out right after that, right? Wasn't it? And it was a mess.
It was kind of a mess.
It was a cluster. I managed to So we'll do they announced the release date of the console and the prices at the end of it. So, sorry for the audio listeners, you can't see Opie's awesome background, but November 12th is when the console comes out. $500 for the version with a disc, $400 for the digital version. Like you said, pre-orders went up right away, and it was a cluster. I managed to snag one on Amazon, which was weird because our buddy J-Dub sent me a link while I was streaming. I clicked it, but the store page wasn't even up yet. So when you click the link, it just said, add these to your cart. And then you had to add them both and then remove one. And it was really weird. And they were sold out before the official store page on Amazon was even up. Yeah. So there's
a lot of backlash because
what a nightmare.
The president, the president of the PlayStation, whatever, was talking how we won't just spring it on you guys. We're gonna let you know when it happens. We're gonna let you know when all this goes down. When we're ready to do pre-orders, and then right after the event, all the retailers just said, "Nope, boop, let's go," and just set it up.
I feel like somebody jumped the gun. Like somebody jumped off before the starter pistol went.
Whoa.
Yeah. And
seriously, I think it was Walmart.
Yeah.
From what I've heard from a lot of people, Walmart was the first one that had the first pre-orders go up, and then Best Buy and Target followed suit off of that. Not
Yeah.
saying that maybe somebody got before Walmart, but
I just-
somebody got bad information somewhere and fired off right away, and then everybody just followed suit.
Yeah, I just feel like that wasn't their planned release,
Right.
but somebody jumped the gun, which made everybody else jump off
They
the start
officially
line
tweeted
too.
about it. They've released official statements.
Yeah. So yeah, $500 or $400 pre-orders are already out there if you can get one. And November 12th is when they're coming out. We also saw during that event a whole bunch of trailers, most of which we had seen before. We got more gameplay for Spider-Man Miles Morales, more stuff for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War, more for Resident Evil 8, Deathloop.
Spider-Man looked beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, it looked gorgeous.
Game of the Year
that's not my
2020.
game.
I mean, it's not. I don't know if you really want
Matt's
it.
game. Matt loves that. Matt's a Spider-Man. He's loved it all since his childhood.
Yeah.
Not my game, but it did look great. It looked wonderful. Next gen.
I thought it was Avengers there for a minute. It just looked like the Avengers trailer.
Ugh,
I'm just joking.
yeah.
Just the bridge scene.
So
I'm
we
just
got,
joking.
so like there was a lot of stuff we saw new footage for things we had already seen: Resident Evil 8, Deathloop, Oddworld, Soulstorm, Demon Souls. We did get 3 new things, and I'll go backwards. At the tail end, they teased a sequel to God of War called God of War Ragnarok, which no gameplay whatsoever, but it's going to be awesome because the first God of War was awesome. Going backwards from that, the other brand new thing was Hogwarts Legacy, which Harry Potter, but set way in the 1800s, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 100 years early. Yeah, somewhere in the 1800s. And what I loved about it was, I mean, it's still got the mysticism and magic of what Harry Potter would do, but I don't know, the way they teased it and said how you start at the school, but there's a big world out there.
Yes.
I felt like that might push to an open world type.
I hope so.
Like a magical world that we can travel in, and I think that'd be kind of cool. Even going between, if you've not seen the Harry Potters, the Muggle world and the Wizarding world, and seeing both sides of that, and having to do things within those worlds, I think that might be really cool.
Yeah, and now we saw this was there was one screenshot of this leaked 2 years ago, and everybody went nuts. Oh, there's a Harry Potter RPG coming, and then nothing else for years, and we kind of forgot about it. So I guess this is what that was. So and there's a little bit of gameplay in it. I think it looks pretty cool. I would like to check it out, or at least keep my eye on it as we learn more. And then the other brand new thing, which we had never seen before, and Dan, so this is why you're here. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we had even heard that this was coming.
So, to backtrack that a little bit, Naoki Yoshida, who is the director-producer of Final Fantasy XIV, talked about a project he was working on the side that was teased last year or a couple of years before that he was working on some of the project. And then April 1st of last year, there were job descriptions that came up for a new project working within Final Fantasy XIV. So there had been some rumors of some things that were happening at Square of a new project that was going down, but nobody knew what that was. And so right before this, there was a lot of buzz. I think somebody at Square started a Twitter account for 16 or something like that, and then a couple of people tweeted about that work for Square, tweeted a couple things about the presentation by PlayStation to watch tomorrow, and so that's where the leaks came up with the Final Fantasy 16 kind of thing when they started off.
And the game we were talking about is Final Fantasy 16. I had no idea. So Dan, you've been following this closely. I always assumed there would be one, but this caught me way off guard. So I didn't even get to see the trailer. I was actually leaving the house as this one was coming on. But tell us about, is this a single player multi? It's not is it closer to 15 or 14 in terms of solo, multiplayer, all kinds of stuff like that?
I nerded out, of course, because I love the Final Fantasy series. 7 is, I've always said, is the greatest game ever made. I still think that is my all-time greatest game I've ever played. For me personally, it's my favorite game of all time. And I love the Final Fantasy series, even through its lows and highs of the games that it makes. This game has a lot of things that kind of jump at people, I think, when they see the trailer. You get a little bit of a Witcher feel. You get a little bit of very old school Final Fantasy feel without mech, without the steampunk element in it. It's basic straight fantasy. You get a high fantasy game grounded in a real world, kind of like I guess a Game of Thrones, where it's like real life, but there's high fantasy in it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the feel you get from the trailer a lot. It's a lot more mature title, and I think it's a lot more violent than Final Fantasy is used to showing. There's a lot of blood spray through the trailer, which is really nice to see that it's going with a more mature storyline. It's just got a lot of cool elements in it. I mean, about a year and a half ago, Final Fantasy, or not Final Fantasy, one of the lead combat directors at Capcom, who did Dragon's Dogma and did Devil May Cry, got poached by Square Enix. They bought it. They got him to come over to their studio, and I'm thinking you're seeing the fruits of that work come out in Final Fantasy 16 here, where the combat is really fluid and fast, and I think you're getting a little Devil May Cry feel there because of that combat.
Yeah.
A lot of people like to say 15, but I don't think that's fair because I think 15 was kind of the start on that road of doing a more fluid,
Sort of like the
fast combat.
prototype.
Yes, but it's still very clunky, and really you don't get to control all those characters in the party. And I can't. I don't want to talk bad about it because I've only put 3 hours into Final Fantasy 15. It didn't really catch me great, and I don't want to insult it because I haven't played enough to say that it's bad or good. I don't know much about it, but that combat for me at the first was clunky. It didn't feel really well made, but that's that first iteration.
Well, so, and I'll just chime in on that too, is
Yeah.
I didn't play 15 until after we had already seen a bunch of stuff from Final Fantasy VII Remake, but I played 15 before the remake came out. So I wanted 15 to feel like the remake, and I thought 15 looked awesome when I saw people play it, but when I actually played it myself, it wasn't bad. I just couldn't get into it. It just didn't register with me. And then when I played 7 Remake, I was like, this combat feels, I like this. And so when I saw the trailer for 16, I was a little bit worried that the combat looked too similar to 15, which I couldn't really get into, but I'm hoping that, like you said, it's a little bit more polished.
I think it's closer to 7 Remake than you think. I'm on my channel, I'm replaying through 7 right now, Remake again, and about 12 hours in.
Twitch.tv/DC Hooper.
Thank you. The combat is fast in 7 Remake, especially if you learn the layers of how to stagger and pressure targets and build really good materia build outs that you like, especially Tifa, you could get her going so fast that it's hard to keep up with the buttons because of how quick she is attacking, and her combos play so well off of each other. It's just like playing Devil May Cry. So you take that iteration of 15 to 7 Remake, and now all the way over here to what now is 16, and you get this new iteration of a type of combat style. I actually think it might be a single-player adventure RPG. I don't think it's going to be party system where you're in a party at all.
I'd be okay with that. I'd be okay with that.
I am too, because I think they want to go with a more mature title and follow one protagonist through the entire story. I think it spans over many years because I think that older and younger version they were showing is the same character playing through the entire game.
Interesting.
The combat looks great. It has that darker feel, that darker look. I think, and I know Matt hates to hear this, I think it may have a little bit of Souls-esque when it comes to Dark Souls-esque when it comes to some of the combat and the boss fights. You see a great fight with a Marlboro, which is the big like plant-looking thing, come out with the huge gnarling teeth, and he spits out the goo, which gives you all of the status effects. And then you see the coral, the tiger with the giant spikes that swing out. That fight there, those are straight Final Fantasy 14 stuff. So the creative studio that's behind this Creative Business Unit 3, that's Yoshi P or Naoki Yoshida, the guy who's doing Final Fantasy 14. That's his crew. That's his people. So the people making this game is A Realm Reborn and the people who worked on Final Fantasy 14. So you see a lot of comparisons and a lot of similarities between the character design, the in-game cutscenes, all that plays from where Final Fantasy 14 came. Even the Dragoon being played there, dropping in during the trailer and fighting, all that. The music over the top of the whole trailer is Final Fantasy. It just breathes Final Fantasy 14. And then Yoshi P came out afterwards just to say, oh yeah, by the way, I'm a producer on it. And so it's like, oh, this was your secret project. This is the one you were really working on.
I like that they went back to more of the high fantasy stuff than black Cadillacs driving around.
It did look like
that's
that.
not really.
Because you go.
Not really my thing.
Final Fantasy kind of had a dip with 13 and 13.2, and then going into 15 as well because of the long creation cycle. And then you got really, really high tech in all those games where almost
Yeah.
like in Final Fantasy 15, you're in this world of, like you said, you're in a convertible driving around. Um, Even 7 is very steampunky, but like 9 and 12 are more the classic RPG, even though, 9 even has airships and things in there too. But if you look at like A Realm Reborn from Final Fantasy 14, the start of it, even the airships, everything is very high fantasy. It's not tech. There's not a lot of tech that come in later, and then with mounts and things like that, it shows up. But it's based in a world that's a bunch of warring nations, and it's all about the hierarchies and the merchants run this state, and then you have the royalty that runs this state. And so I think it's going back to that look of very high fantasy grounded in a real world. And I mean, heck, the boy you see, Joshua, I mean, he's the son of an archduke. So they're building on that, and the way they're speaking and talking to each other when they're going through the trailer is really, really like that old school high fantasy kind of thing. So yeah, it's
So
amazing
no
to me.
release date. They're like
I think it's
No,
so
probably
far off.
somewhere next year.
uh, no, I think they're closer, Matt, than what you think. The
Really?
way, well, when you look at who's in charge of it, okay, so you have Hiroshi Takai and Yoshi P are both in charge of it, who are both big names within Final Fantasy 14. They're the ones that flipped 1.0 to 2.0 of Final Fantasy 14, and they did that in 2 years. And when you could take a game that quickly and flip it that fast and make it as good as it is now, I mean, they don't give the numbers of players, but they've had over 20 million people sign up with accounts with it, independent accounts with them. So the game is successful. It's making a lot of money. But they flipped it quickly because there's a couple of documentaries on YouTube you can find of them changing from that 1.0 disaster to that 2.0, and his Yoshi P's philosophy design of how they did that, and they micromanaged every tiny piece to where he was checking things every day, and soon they had a ton of assets done quickly. So this has been worked on since last year of a small team of 12. They just went into full production with a larger team. All that creative group, creative unit 3 are now working on it. And I think it's bigger and going faster than you think it is. And next year we'll see a lot more information, especially around E3 in the year. And I think it'll probably be a 2022 release. And they'll do that
Dang.
because then I think the following year you'll have a Final Fantasy VII remake part 2 after that. So they'll hit 1 year after each other. And I think next year you'll get a Final Fantasy 14 expansion. So they hit their Final Fantasies every year in a row with their biggest titles right now for Final Fantasy. That's my take on it. Yeah. Yep.
I'm down
It's
to
really
play
cool.
it. I can't wait
Yeah.
to play it. Yeah, I'll
I
try
just
that for
Look
sure.
good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be really cool. I think the story is kind of like, I almost feel like the story is going to be your main character is kind of hunting down icons, and icons are espers or summons depending on which Final Fantasy you played. I think he's actually like hunting those down, because if you watch the combat, there's a moment where he's punching and it looks like he's got these glowing fists that are near him, and I think he's using the icon of Titan at that moment. And then a little bit later in some of the breakdowns I've watched, there's a moment where this green wind is around him, and you see these feathers, so you think he's using the ability of Garuda. And then of course you see Shiva, and then you see his Phoenix wing come out too, and you see the Phoenix wing come across and hit down. So you're like, okay, during combat he's choosing like a style of play with the icon that he's using at that time. And I think something major happens in that trailer where you see Joshua kind of get attacked, and he calls Phoenix as the dominant of Phoenix, and they find out there's another fire icon, which ends up being Ifrit.
Ifrit,
And the
yeah.
whole game is based around Ifrit and Phoenix. In the cover art is Phoenix and Ifrit fighting each other. Those two kind of opposing. You have Phoenix, who's a healing, resurrection, rejuvenation, and then you have Ifrit, who's chaos, destruction, dark, kind of going at each other in that. And there's all kinds of things that I won't go too far into it, but needless to say,
I
I'm
love
ran
it.
around the office at work going, oh my God, Final Fantasy, they're doing games and stuff. It's crazy awesome.
PS5 exclusive though, so I have like a year. You think to buy a
Well,
PS5?
PS5 console exclusive.
Well, now they put the PC at the bottom, but I think I don't know if they'll come straight to PC. They may do PS5 exclusive for like a time
Period of time.
like you said, yeah.
Well, that was
maybe they'll do both right off the start. I don't know.
so
It'll be
that's a
interesting.
new thing that I think we've been seeing with a lot of these new events is when they say console exclusive. So among consoles, it'll be exclusive to PS5, but also outside of consoles, it'll be available on PC.
There's just
Oh baby.
I'm just happy. I hope they keep with the darker theme. There was a lot of blood, a lot of death in the trailer. I mean, just Josh was sitting there, and I think it's his Archduke dad gets chopped, and blood just splatters all over the
Yeah, I
kid.
saw that.
Yeah,
That was
which
wrecked.
that
Reminded me of
sets him
Dexter or
off.
something.
Yeah, it puts him in duress, which makes him call Phoenix at the time, because they call him like in the very first the trailer. They're talking about we're gonna go get the dominant of Shiva. So I think like each of these kingdoms have one person that's the dominant of this giant summon that they control, and they use that to fight against each other or keep control between all the countries. And I think something has to Joshua where you're his shield is that, and it says it in the trailer that you're kind of his guardian at a young age, and something major happens there that then leads you out to either hunt down these other dominants and get their summons to get rid of the crystals within the world. I think it's a whole revenge thing is what's going to end up happening. And we go out to get rid of the crystals because something happened to somebody that was very important early on in the game. So,
Well,
yeah.
when we're doing this show in 2022,
That's right.
you can come
You can come back and tell
There
and
we
us.
give
go.
us your
We'll
thoughts.
go back and
80 of the Final Fantasy stuff you want to talk about. I am so happy to talk about all of it. We could just sit for hours, guys. It'll be
Special edition to go along with the football special edition.
That's right.
You
Well,
know.
well, speaking of sitting for hours and playing video games,
Yeah.
Matt and Opie over the weekend played something new, and it's actually this was the game that our friend Dan kind of got for us, wasn't it? Wasn't that what
I
we
still haven't had
gifted?
a chance to play it with you guys.
And
I know.
it's more of like a team game. So you kind of play. It's all these games have kind of been coming out recently where you play in a group with your friends, and it adds a little drama by giving maybe one or two of the party members the villain role. So you'll have like maybe like 4 or 6 people being the good guys doing something and working together, and then there'll be two of your friends that are playing with you at the same time that are doing the same chores as you, but behind the scenes are trying to kill you,
That's right.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
this
That's pretty much the premise of it. So this game is called Among Us, and it's on Steam. And Matt and Opie played it for quite a while over the weekend. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but it looks amazing. I've seen some people stream it, and I kind of want to get your guys' take on it.
Well, the funny thing is too, this game isn't new. Like it's been out for a couple of years, and it just blew up probably because somebody on Twitch streamed it, and it just kind of snowballed from there. But it's not new. I mean, but it's one of the biggest games on Twitch now. But yeah, it's real simple graphics. There's not a whole lot to it. It's less about the gameplay and more about just trying to find out who is the killer or killers on your ship, killing everybody else. And yeah, we played it with our friend Elizabeth and a bunch of her friends. Because it's better with the more people you can get to play it, the better. There's a max of 10, but I would say about a minimum of 6.
Cool.
And it's fun. I mean, you do these little tasks around a ship to try to make the ship not crash or explode or whatever. But while you're doing these tasks, somebody's running around the ship killing people. And every time you find a dead body, you have to confer with the rest of the group and try to figure out who it was. So it's a little bit of murder mystery. It's kind of like Clue in a way. Which Dan, I know you're a fan of Clue, and I liked it. I think if we could all, the 4 of us, and get some of our other buddies together, I think we would have a blast with it. Because
the one thing that we had been playing was Enemy on Board, which
is very
was
similar.
Very similar. It's the same type of play, but I don't know. We were kind of playing with other people online, and I guess if we kind of went by the rules, well, it's kind of played different. With Among Us, I was kind of surprised that you pretty much stay quiet through the whole game until it's time to discuss if someone's been reported, and then you kind of turn your mics on and start discussing it. The one thing I did find wasn't really irritating, but you just got to play it more, is when you memorize the map, because it's kind of important to relay information to other people about what you found. Like if you had to report or tell your side of where you were at during where the body was found, you want to know the map and be able to either defend yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and justify where you were or lie. So it's cool because you can try to the imposter goes around, tries to sabotage the ship as well, so they can set up things to make alarms go off and send people different directions, and try to catch people by themselves and then kill them and go on. But yeah, it's a great game. It was really simple kind of to pick up. It kind of looked a little bit more complicated than Enemy on Board before, but actually it's a lot easier to play. I mean, Enemy on Board's a little hard
I think so too.
with the button
Yeah,
with the
once
button
you
configurations and the alien skills that you have to learn. And plus, Enemy on Board's a little deeper because you can build your character up with different skills and weapons and things like that. But Among
Right.
Us is just I guess you would kind of call it like a party game. You get down, you sit down, you can get in it, and you can really roll out a good time with a bunch of friends.
Yeah, so if we can get
That's awesome.
all of us and our other buddies to play, I think it would be a fantastic Friday night beer and game night kind of
Yeah.
thing.
And one of these
I would
days,
love to do it.
when this podcast blows up, we'll get everybody on the Discord. We'll have
Yeah,
our
we
own
will.
Discord, and we'll have our listeners. You guys can play with us on games like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Friday night's just my busy night with softball, guys. I can't,
Well, you're
I
gonna
mean,
have
if you
to
got
stop
one,
having a
yeah,
social
I mean,
life. Do like me and be a hermit and never leave the house. You get to do all kinds of cool stuff.
cut your own
Well,
hair.
Yeah.
I did tease last week where I talked about going to a tree auction. So I wanted to follow up with that real fast. So where we live, we're on a couple acres, and it's just like a flat field in the back. So we really needed some trees. So I went to a tree auction. I've been working my butt off for about the past 3 months, hours a day trying to get this place looking halfway decent. And so I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We got the trees in, the landscaping's getting done. I'll have a little bit more time for video games. So yeah, that's kind of the whole tree auction thing. It was, you can go to a nursery and buy a tree.
Yeah.
Well, this is kind of like that, but on a larger scale. Like if you don't want to go buy one or two trees, you want to go buy like 20 trees. You go there, buy the
Yeah,
trees.
When you want to go to
they
the
deliver 'em.
Costco of trees.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
I like
getting
to buy
that
my
time.
trees in a bundle.
Right.
It's getting that time of year where the weather's getting colder, the days are getting shorter. Sports is going to start winding down in my house, and of course, you can't play softball when it's 30 degrees outside. So
Well,
there'll
not
be
with
more
that
time
attitude.
for Netflix and video games and stuff like that.
More times
So-
for Netflix and chill.
and chill and things like that. But yeah, I'm
'Cause
good-
it's cold
I'm
outside.
Good there.
You watch Netflix and it's cold, so you Netflix and chill.
Yeah. So you just
Opie, you been playing anything else besides Among Us, or is that pretty
Well,
much it?
no, if
Oh.
yeah. Well, I have an old coworker buddy of mine who is a big Star Wars fan, just like I am, and we worked together and played some Star Wars together. And Star Wars: The Old Republic's, of course, the MMO that was put out by EA, and it gained a little bit of popularity, but it's not nearly as popular as it was kind of when it came out. But there's been an expansion or two coming out for it, and he kind of messaged me on Facebook and wanted to know that if they were having like double XP month, and that wanted to know if I wanted to get back into it for a little while. And
Nice.
he did. I'm in between MMOs right now because WoW's going to start up here with their new expansion next month, and the refer a friend was a 7-day trial. Now this game we tried for a little while to play a free to play. You can jump in and play to like, what is it, 30, Dan? Or I forget how many levels you get with the free to play.
Well, you can
But
play. I think you can go to up to max level, but you get your XP is cut. You only get so many.
Yeah, it's hard to travel
dungeons
around.
you can go. You
Yeah.
can't travel as fast as the other people. They really kind of cut the legs
Right.
out from underneath you if you play it for free.
And with the refer a friend, I got free 7-day trial full game, and I had several characters. I had like a 52 level trooper on there, and a Jedi, and a couple that I had played my first go around when it came out, and I subbed to it, and I just wanted to get back into those characters, and it was good. I mean, I I got back in it and turned it back on and got everything set up, and then I haven't been able to get back to play it the last couple of nights. So it's the way it goes. So I'm going to get on with him a little bit this week and try to run around a little bit and see. But I do have a Tauntaun mount in there I had forgot about, and I got a couple
Ooh,
extra
nice.
mounts for being returned. So if anybody listening wants to refer a friend, just let me know. I'll shoot you an invite and you can check it out. But it's Star Wars, and I'm just one of those time filler type things.
Yeah,
to
that's
do,
your thing, man. You're the Star Wars guy.
Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. Matt, pickup time.
Yeah, so
What'd you get?
a lot quicker than the other ones. A lot lighter of a week. Again, this isn't. It's new, but it's another piece of the line of the Spider-Man came in. You know, I told you guys a couple weeks back that I ordered the whole line all at once, and they're coming in piecemeal. So I got Gwen Stacy this time. Gwen Stacy with a Mary Jane head,
Did you order those from Amazon?
Yeah.
I'm really impressed of how good the cards come.
This one's probably the best of all of them. This one's like really flat, nothing. There's a little bit of a crease in the corner.
Toy collector like Instagram accounts and YouTubes and things like that, and there's just so many horror stories of just how they treat carded figures and shipping.
Most of them came in
so
okay, but one of them I think was a little beat up.
What's the story with the different head? What's going on there?
Well, nothing. It's Gwen Stacy, but they give you a Mary Jane head. So if you want to pop Gwen Stacy's head off and put Mary Jane's head on, you have a Mary Jane figure.
Mary Jane.
Yeah,
it's Mary Jane.
It's bizarre. It's weird because that's classic Gwen Stacy outfit: green jacket, black shirt, purple skirt, black headband. Well, that's on the head.
Jeez.
That's classic Gwen Stacy outfit. Putting Mary Jane's head on that body isn't right. That's not what Mary Jane looks like.
And there was never anything in Spider-Man where there was like a mask she put
no.
Or,
it's just a way to give you a
Tobey
different.
Maguire has a dream
Nope.
about Gwen Stacy or
Nope.
Mary Jane's head on.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nope. It's just a way to give you two figures in one, I guess. And then I managed to get my hands on Super Mario 3D All Stars.
Boom.
I got
Nice.
that too.
Did you really?
Lightning.
The physical?
Yeah, I got it. Yep. I
Nice.
got it Saturday.
I grabbed it when I.
I ordered it from Amazon.
Yeah, I did too. I grabbed it when I saw it on Amazon, thinking, Nintendo creating artificial demand by saying that the digital and physical is only going to be available through the end of March.
Let's see if it's still available.
I better grab it now. I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's going to be like a run on supply until March, and they stop producing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be produced until then.
I mean, I wanted to get it anyway. I just figured if I didn't get the physical, I would just get a digital. But I saw it sitting on Amazon. I was like, well, shoot. Let's grab that. So I haven't opened it yet. Supposedly, the Mario 64 isn't super great. Like, there's no quality of life improvements or any. It's just still the bad controls and all that stuff. But Mario Sunshine and Mario Galaxy on are supposed to be pretty good. So I'm gonna try it out at some point. But that's it. That's all the pickups for this week.
Sunshine.
I watched a review. I watched a review of somebody play the vintage or the legacy systems right beside the Switch one, and it's pretty much exactly game for game, the same games except for just
it's a little better resolution, but other than that, there's no really improvements or anything like that.
There's nothing. No,
it's just a straight
I mean,
port.
They're just upping the game.
Up-res ports. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still, you get those 3 Mario games on the Switch. How can you not want to get that? So.
Yep. Yeah. I ordered mine through Target and still have not received it. So
Yikes.
I thought I'd pick it up for PAX for Christmas.
Yeah.
But I might open it early.
Well, Santa had to open it and test it, PAX.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
right. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You gotta plan ahead, and that way, when I play it, I'll be good at it, and he'll respect me more.
If that you earn the respect of your kids, beat them in video games.
He hands me a Joy-Con, and he's like, "Dad, I can't get past this boss, and I can't do it.
That's the truth.
He won't have any respect for me."
I can't beat Gavin in FIFA at all. I used to be really good at that game. He just has so many hours into it where I don't play anymore. It's just
I think you two are the only one that play that though.
Yeah, I mean,
Everybody else play it.
it's the most popular sports game in the world.
In the world?
in the world.
In the world.
I don't live in the world. I live in America.
Jeez.
Okay.
All right. You guys got anything else before we wrap it up for episode? What is it? 7?
Episode number 7. Hey, I didn't add it to the show notes. I was going to add one more thing. Yesterday, I read a comic called Batman Universe. It's a collected version of a 6-issue thing of 6-issue Batman story that came out in the Walmart only editions of Batman, 100-page Batman Giant. I think they were releasing these for a while. The 100-page thing, or part of it is an original story, and the rest of it is reprints. They collected the original stories out of 6 of those issues and put it together into one 160-page volume. It's one of the best comics I've read all year long. It's an adventure tale. There's humor. There's action. It takes place across multiple times. He goes back to the 1800s. He goes present day. He goes to different worlds, different dimensions. He crosses paths with other heroes, other villains. It is so much fun. It is a fun story. Batman Universe, if you want to read a fun Batman story, get that. It's awesome.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the art's fantastic, too. Yeah, the art's awesome, too. It's one of the best comics I've read all year.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. Anything else? Dan, you got anything before we go? This is your big debut on the show, man. You got anything you want to say?
Thanks everybody for having me on. That was a lot of fun. If
Yeah, it was.
Talk MMOs or Final Fantasy or RPGs, I love all those, and I'll talk about that stuff all day because I'm a nerd. If you want to come watch me play video games, you can do
There
that.
you go.
I do it at twitch.tv/DCHooper. I stream Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
Nice.
mostly Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday night, and then Saturday and Sunday during the afternoon or mornings. So come by, hang out. It's cool.
It's fun.
And we have some social medias, don't we, Lawson?
We do. Catch us on the Twitter sphere, the Twitter cast, the Twittergram at Anything New Cast, Instagram, Anything New Podcast, our Gmail, Anything New Podcast at gmail.com. And we're on the YouTube.
We are on the YouTubes now. All 6 episodes so far are on the YouTubes.
Yep.
The first 2 are audio only, and the rest of them are beautiful
They're
faces.
only available till March, and they're pulling
Right, till the end of March, and then they get taken down.
And we're going to start maybe posting our Discord invitations on our social media accounts so people can just click in and join our Discords when they see that. And also, guys, this is the 3rd episode in a row. We've got some of those game keys for you if you want a quick free game. Just slide into our DMs or email us. Tell us how you're enjoying the game, or enjoying the podcast, and we'll give you a free game.
Yeah, that's all you got to do.
That's not bribing somebody for affection. I don't know what is.
Well, hey, real quick, going back to YouTube. So we don't have a vanity URL yet because we just now started it, and we got a whopping 3 subscribers so far. It's only been up for a couple days as of this recording, but if you, I don't know if you can search for anything new, but there's a Bitly link. So you guys know Bitly, like bit.ly, link shortening service. It's a Bitly link, bit.ly/anything new YT for YouTube, and then that'll take you right to the channel until we get our vanity URL. And then for Discord, like you mentioned, Opey, it's open to the public now. Like anybody can get in. So another Bitly link, bit.ly/anything new Discord, all one word. And that will bring you right into our Discord server, which there's nobody there yet because it only just now opened up. But we've only got a few channels, one for just general talking, one for talking about your collections, one for talking about possible topics for the show. So if you want to chat with us and the rest of the community,
make a section called Talk Final Fantasy.
Yep, that's the next one.
Me in there arguing with myself.
It'll be Dan just posting videos.
Actually, I was gonna say, why don't you guys get one of those sites that's like, follow me thing. That lists all of your.
We're gonna do a link tree.
Okay.
Yeah, link tree is one of those. So we'll have that up for next week, and it'll have all that too. Plus, eventually, I'll have us an overlay for the video podcast that has all the stuff listed there too. So so I know it's a little bit haphazard, but we probably should have had all this ready before we even started with episode 1, but it's things that we're building as we go along. So
we got to grow.
Yeah, we're growing.
All right, that sounds good. We'll catch you guys next week for episode 8.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.